So these are the shows that I'm watching. Except Mushoku. Our anime has a new rule about pedo. Yes, I do know, Ravnim. I think it's super bad. Yeah, no. If you guys don't know, we'll get there when we get there. All right, we'll get there when we get there. Oh, dude, do we start today by going through the subreddit drama? This is only 5 days ago. Wow. Okay. Well, this might even be its own. This might be its own YouTube video at this point. This shit has gone far enough, in my opinion, and I think the way that our anime mods handled it was not very good. But we'll talk about Mushoku Tensei at the end because we know where this one's gonna end up for me. But we'll talk about this stuff at the end. First up, we're gonna talk about the anime that we're watching and rating them on a tier list thing of my favorite shows to my least favorite shows. What? So for anybody who's new to the way I do my tier lists, I talk about them just off of just the anime so far. How do I feel about it, and how do I feel where it's gonna go? Do I think that it's gonna get better? Do I think it's gonna be worse? You know, so I talk about that and I rank them in tier order. S tiers for me generally are shows that I believe are going to be remembered for a time, and they are either genre-definingly good. So S tier is my 10 out of 10s. They're like, these are the standard in which all anime strives to get to. It's a show that breaks the mold in some way. It's amazing past just good, you know? And then A tier is usually like shows that I think are 8 or 9s, and those are shows that I would recommend anybody to watch. I think A tier shows are just really good objectively. And then when we get to B's, it's like I can recommend it to certain people who really love that genre, but maybe not everybody will love it. C's is where we get into, man, I don't really recommend people to watch it, but you know, if you really want to, go ahead. D's when I start being like, nah, I don't think people should be watching this. So that's kind of where it is. Oh yeah, big news. Devil is a part-timer getting a season 2. That's pretty exciting. What tier is AOT? We'll get there. We're gonna talk about all this stuff. Jujutsu Kaisen. That's the free space here up in S tier. Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. Let's see, what exactly happened last? I need to refresh my memory here on the stuff that happened last season or last episode. Jujutsu. Oh, it was the filler episode. We get baseball. This was basically just a personality-based baseball episode, and I don't know. Not much to say about it, I think. As far as fillers go, it's fine. Actually, there's another show that's in the S tier that had kind of a filler episode, if I'm not mistaken, too, right? Because Wonder Egg Priority also had a filler episode last week. But it doesn't change the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen and Wonder Egg Priority are both S tier shows. I think they are 10 out of 10s. They are just amazing. They are better than just good, right? I think Wonder Egg Priority and Jujutsu Kaisen are shows that I believe are genre defining. I don't really know that many shonens that hold up to Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen is that good. Wonder Egg Priority, same thing. I think as far as where these shows will go further into the season, I really think that they're just gonna stay at S tier for me. Wonder Egg Priority is a anime original, and anime originals have a tendency to get kind of wonky, especially when it gets towards its ending. So I don't know if it'll stick its landing, and anime's not very good at that. But Wonder Egg Priority is great. So I'm just gonna go down this list and tier things. Spider Isekai is going to be one of the things I'm going to talk about more in depth. I just watched the most recent episode, and dude, Spider Isekai is surprising me again. I started in the season thinking that Spider Isekai is just going to be another spider story, but this last episode, they kind of finally dumped a little more info to sort of make us understand what is actually happening. And I thought that part was really interesting and makes me really rethink where I'm going to put Slime Isekai. For me, it was kind of low B tier, maybe high C tier. But with this last episode, I'm really looking forward to it. Eurocamp. Eurocamp last episode was about the solo camping, and I'm not gonna. I don't know, man. Eurocamp, I like it, but the show itself seems to be a lot more of the same for me, and I think I'm gonna move it into B territory. I can't tell again that if it's just that now that it's in its second season, I feel like the sort of same gags and stuff has been the same for so long that I'm kind of wanting it to do something and go somewhere. I think Eurocamp is fun and fine, but I think it's the gatekeeper of A tiers. If One Punch Man was just about Saitama punching thing, it would have gone boring. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? One Punch Man is actually the perfect antithesis where, you know, One Punch Man is literally about a guy who just punches one thing and it dies. And somehow they're able to create awesome narratives around that, right? There's still a purpose. There's still characters, you know, development around him. Horimiya. I love Horimiya. This one, I think, is an S tier show. This last episode, they talk a little more. He confronts that one guy that bullied him in middle school with the mint chocolate chip hair. And then there's kind of weird vibes from that guy in general. I thought in general, Horimiya, that green-haired guy, I thought maybe he had like a crush on Miyamura, and I was like, is that what the reveal is gonna be? It kind of felt like that because he just can't get him out of his mind, but I think it's more like Koe no Katachi, where he just feels some heavy guilt over the whole thing, you know, later on. And one, I love how Horimiya, the couple, how they're presented, and we see a little more glimpse into the relationship. And I also like Miyamura confronting that one guy who has a crush on Hori, and he's like, you know, if she asked you to hit her, could you? And he's like, no, I couldn't. And then Miyamura's like, here, let me show you how to be a Chad. One of the things that scene represented for me is that, again, people fantasize about their ideal relationship with the person without knowing what that person is like. And I think that was a really excellent scene to display that. Because, again, I think when people have crushes, they develop their own personal identity for who that person is in their mind. But the reality is, until you meet that person, until you really get to know them, you really don't know. And relationships are constructed as they go along. You don't start from where you think it's going to start. And the reason why I'm pretty comfortable now putting in S tier is that I think Horimiya has a lot to say about human relationships that isn't really said in a lot of relationship stuff. And I'm not even just talking about anime. I think about movies too. You know, a lot of movies and depictions of romantic partnerships, the idea about the fun of romance is the chase. The idea of when the boyfriend meets the girlfriend and like the struggle to reach that conclusion of like, do they get together or not? That is, I feel like 99% of all romance stuff that's out there. And I feel like one of the great things about Horimiya is that they just don't do that. And because the truth is that relationships, just because you got together with that person doesn't mean that everything's happily ever after. And I think that's what's so awesome about Horimiya, is that it shows you that there's a lot of depth to be had once you start the relationship. And I think that's why I really enjoy it. And you know, the exploration of different relationships and the people around them, I think, is what really makes Horimiya special. And I think that's why it is probably one of my favorite romance anime of all time currently. I don't know. Dr. Stone's really charming and fun. I like it a lot. I think I'm going to keep it in B tier. I'm kind of curious what happens from here on out, because so much of this season has been building up to this moment, and now we have to know what happens. And I think depending on how that goes, I think I could be comfortable with Dr. Stone being A tier or maybe staying in B tier. Slime. Live watch? No, I can't do that. I can't do live watches. Otherwise, I'm donezo. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but I will say that I think I'm pretty comfortable with Slime being in B tier. I really like it. And for people who like this this type of show, I think they'll love it. But I don't think it quite makes it up to A. That said, I think all 3 of these shows that I have here, besides basically everything in the B tier besides Zero Camp, could become A tier with like really good, excellent conclusions. Like if Slime, the way that she dunks on all the humans is really satisfying, I could see that being A tier. And her eventual conflict with potentially Milim and the other Demon Lord seems really interesting. Slime Isekai, Spider Isekai, same thing. I could see it being A tier if the conclusion between the humans and who the Spider Girl becomes. Like, I think that could be really interesting. Tsukasa versus Senku also could be interesting. So all 3 of these shows I could see being A tier, but at their floor, I think they're B tier shows. So that's what I think about that. Quintessential quintuplets. Oh man, this last episode was spicy, dude. So I think I can for certainty say who Worst Girl is, and it isn't even Miku. I thought Miku was gonna be Worst Girl, but in fact, it's Ichika. Hey, I don't know. I could see Promised Neverland getting better, but I think it's pretty solidly a C tier show. I think nothing's really happened. They explain a lot, but they don't actually do much of anything. And that's the problem with Promised Neverland in this season, is that rather than doing anything, they just talk about stuff. And in the beginning, it was like too fast. Like the pacing of this season was like, in the beginning, there's like a billion things that happen. They meet they get saved by a bunch of demons. You find about demons, and then they find about the shelter, and then they get kicked out of the shelter. They are hiding by a like demon city, and then they find Norman. Like so many things happen up until Norman, and then they meet Norman, and then suddenly it's just explanation the show. And now nothing is happening, and they're just sitting there talking about their feelings, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's not super great. I like episodic shows without much plot, so it appeals to me. I enjoy it to a certain extent. Like everybody knows, I like slice of life a lot. But even slice of life shows usually have more substance than Yuru Camp. Without surprise, I'm putting Mushoku Tensei in garbage tier. It's still the same show. The thing I actually want to talk about with Mushoku Tensei is recently the subreddit for anime has decided on a new rule where people are no longer able to talk about the controversial aspects of the show. And I can kind of understand, because apparently it ends up into a lot of reports, ends up with being a bunch of insults being thrown around. However, my problem with this is that basically what the mods have done is created a safe space for people who basically like censoring the criticism of pedophilia from our anime. And I think that is like a really bad look for the subreddit, in my opinion. It feels almost like I have an obligation to like put my voice out there as being like objectively against this stuff. So why does Sugita have to voice Rudy? Anime community, why? All right, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I think that's gonna be it for me. Like my vocal cords are dying after getting so caught up with the anime shit. So thanks all for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I'll probably be streaming some Final Fantasy stuff tomorrow. So I will catch you guys there at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I was a little late today, but yeah, I thought we had a good discussion about anime stuff. So glad y'all were around.